All right, this show is taking a turn for the.
Oh,
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a banger of a show today. This is Monster Bass Live, and today we are going to solve Alzheimer's disease, and I'm going to bring in my two esteemed guests who are very knowledgeable in the community of this brain disease, and we're going to talk about it. So let me bring in my guests. Hello, guests. I've got the esteemed Dr. Hollingsworth and Dr. Aronowitz. Welcome, gentlemen, to Monster Bass Live. How are you
Doctor,
today?
wish I was fishing.
Doctor. Yeah, doctor. No, I think I saw you put a mint in and I asked if it was a Zims, if you're trying for mental clarity. Joe Rogan has talked about these Zims with nicotine and the benefits. I want to go right on the record. I am not promoting nicotine in any way, shape, or form, but there is some discussion of how it can benefit. It's a medicine. It's from tobacco, but I'm presenting it, but I'm backing away kind of quick.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I've been, ever since you said this about 4 minutes ago, I've been pouring myself into research.
Yeah.
And the doctor is Dr. Nystrom, who did a study. Now, granted, full disclosure, I am getting my information from a website called NicoKick. So I think that they're pro nicotine here, but it talks about the nicotine and the positive effects it can have on weight loss, on dementia, improving focus. Yeah.
That's where the reference came. There was a young man, he had like a PhD. His mother was suffering of dementia, Alzheimer's, and he was messing around with the alkaloid. I guess it comes from the nightshade family. That's the tobacco plant. There's other things in the nightshade. I listen to too many podcasts. Yeah, tomato. See, So there's medicine values to all these different things. I think there's a purpose of why it was put on this planet. Smoking it, well, that's a really bad way to go. But nicotine, I do believe, has some medicinal purposes as a medicine. But I didn't know what you were taking. I was asking if you're getting pumped for the show. So turns out it was a mint. So
Sadly, because if it was a Zin, I would be willing to be a guinea pig to try these for research sake.
For science, yeah.
Unfortunately, all I've got is these Altoids, and they have no nicotine in them, but I have surprisingly and curiously fresh breath.
Yeah, you put 7 in your mouth in the last 3 minutes since we've been live.
Yeah,
he's loving it. No, I love the cinnamon Altoids, but that's this whole thing is like maybe you should try it and we'll see how it goes. Mm-hmm. There's also smelling salts. I was actually listening. They were doing smelling salts on the Joe Rogan show as well. So, getting psyched, getting ready. I'm excited to talk fishing, but I don't think I need the medicinal compounds. Caffeine's about as far as I go, so we're good.
Well, for those keeping score at home, I need the medicinal compounds. And so I'm going to be pounding these curiously strong mints. And I wish we were sponsored by Altoids, but we're not. And I do want to go on record and say that I was 6-0 last week in my picks for 2 out of 3 weeks. So I'm pretty excited. But enough about me. I thought I'd flip the script a little bit. Chris, I know a little bit about you because,
You're just chewing on those Altoids. Yeah. Sorry.
I'm going to go through the whole thing today. I might even do Altoid snooters. I don't know.
Can you actually just suck on a mint? Because if I put a mint in, I have to chew it. My wife knows after being married for as long as we have, Kelly just always hands me 2. Like I have a thing. I don't want one Tic Tac. I don't want one mint. I want 2 at a time, and I crunch it like a little kid.
Well, I got to cross that question off my list.
Yeah, this is a family show. That question should have been crossed off well in advance.
It should have.
Okay, so let me rephrase it. Are you a chewer? That's all I'm going to say. All right, do you chew? That's
wow, Chris.
Avoid it.
We're going to have a meeting after this show. You took it downhill in a big hurry. All right. Today I want to learn a little bit about you, and I want to share a little bit about you with our viewership. So if you don't mind humoring me today, tell me about you and your family growing up. Like, what were you like? What were you into? And
so you're talking high schoolish Chris, grade school Chris. I could go back. Like I lived in Texas when I was young, and I was addicted to sports. But I was in Texas in like the Houston area when like the Cowboys were America's team, like Tony Dorsett. Houston Oilers had Earl Campbell. That's back when the Houston Astros had Nolan Ryan. So like the greatest sports teams in the Texas era way back when. That
Yeah,
was
they
when
didn't
I was
even need to cheat. They were so good back then.
that was back when they actually could play the sports
Yeah.
and they did really well. But so Too Tall Jones, I'd play football in my front yard with my brother. And then in the same area in the cul-de-sac we lived, my best friend Chad Mikey, their dad was like a motocross champion. So he had this trophy room. And so I got interested in like BMX bikes and pretending I was a motocross rider. And then we moved to California, and then we moved to Lake of the Pines and moved onto the lake at this place where I live now. And it was just like, I was just an outdoor kid, outside all the time, goofing off. Kind of did Cub Scouts a little bit when I was young, but then I transitioned into like this whole, I don't even know how I got into like skateboarding, snowboarding, and kind of went away from team sports. And that was that weird transition, is like my family was so team sport oriented. And then I became a sponsored snowboarder and kind of drifted away from all that. But that kind of gives you a background. I was always outside goofing off, avoided mischief, like school, kind of crazy, but that's little Chris.
Did you buy BMX magazines?
I don't really remember buying BMX magazines. I was just mesmerized, like
Shoplifting.
mag wheels, like when we had like the BMX bike and we would jump our bikes over stuff. And I remember like building like 55-gallon, like we were building big jumps. And so like a full sheet of plywood, a 55-gallon drum. I'm surprised I wasn't broken more. I have a daughter that she's a dancer. She may have broken her ankle. And then my son is in Utah. He just went to the emergency room because he thought he broke his ankle skating. And I avoided injuries a lot, but I just really did stupid stuff when I was a kid. Yeah. No,
What was your earliest memory of being a kid and fishing and
Texas, Galveston. We were laughing about this yesterday. I don't know why my dad. We wore trash bags when we'd fish in the rain. It's like we'd get a trash bag, you cut a hole for your head, and then the two for your arms, pop them out. So that was kind of our poncho. And we go out on the piers in Texas and catch croakers. And one of my distinct memories when I was a kid, like this fish just took off, and we were out on this long, long pier, and kind of near the water level. It's interesting because some were really high and then some were low. This one was a low one, and my rod, just the line was screaming. I ended up catching and landing a barracuda. And that was like this whole thing and it was small, but it was like, as a little kid, I was hooked. I mean, play on words there. That was kind of a cool thing that I caught a fish that nobody else had caught. So that was, the garbage bags. You guys ever wear garbage bags as ponchos? Like for some reason, maybe we didn't have rain gear. I don't even really know, but
Yeah, in camp. I did. And I think it was, for me, it was a Southern California thing. 'Cause it never rained. So you just needed to improvise.
yeah, you're like, hey, we got nothing. Yeah, my dad was kind of cool, one of those cool dads. Like we travel around, we do some fun stuff, and then later in life, I was on a trip with him in 8th grade that he picked me up instead of 8th grade graduation. I went on a camping kind of vacation with him to Oregon, and that's when I taught myself how to fly fish. So I bought a kit at Kmart, and then I caught a fish on the Deschutes River, but it was always kind of like fishing around my dad, kind of hanging out. And then way, way later, in his later years before he passed, he came back here and just straight talking smack, like 78 years old, pretty much dying, sitting in a chair, talking smack about how he's way better at fishing than me. So, we never really lost that. So yeah, that's kind of first fishing memories.
wow. And was there a specific moment when you realized like fishing was going to end up being like a big part of your life or something that you were going to do forever?
Kind of an evolution. I think that was the one thing, is I love being outside. I love camping. Fly fishing is where I really got excited. I started to tie flies, and living in Grass Valley area, there's all these rivers in Northern California. And so we'd backpack and camp. Scout camps were always kind of a cool thing as I got older, teaching the kids to catch a fish, kill the fish, clean the fish. I think that's a really cool life skill. And so then the next piece that played a huge role in the fishing, but it's more spear fishing, is my in-laws, my father-in-law, like the day I got married, I feel like I was baptized into diving for abalone. And so spearing fish, diving for abalone, harvesting your food from the ocean, that became like a yearly thing. We'd go out for a week at Fort Bragg. And so the ability to feed your family, I always thought that was kind of cool. From farm to table, I don't know what you call it, cook, catch, whatever. But
Sure.
that was like a really fun thing. And then, Kelly and I would always fish together wherever we went. I think the transition full circle was, it is the one activity, and I've shared this a few times. I can surf a wave, but I like bigger waves than what I would want to take my wife out into, or my daughter. I can go fishing next to anybody. It doesn't matter the skill set. So if you go snowboarding and you're like, oh, I'm a really good snowboarder, and you take a friend with you that's a beginner, it's just not as compatible as if you take a beginner angler and you're a professional angler. You can go side by side, same water, and have a fantastic time. So that kind of became an interesting observation I found of all the sports I've done. Fishing just kind of fit that bill.
Nice. If I can segue for a minute, I'd like to call this Gerald. He is going nuts in the chat. He's saying that we suck. We rip him off his money. Yeah. If you guys would humor me for a minute, I'm going to call this guy.
Yeah.
Watch him not answer now. Did you get rid of him, Rafi?
I put him in timeout, but I also have his information pulled up too, and I was about to call him, so we're on the same page.
Now he's not answering.
Yeah. I also gave him the email address for support. Yeah.
Hold on. I want to leave him a nice message. I want to try and solve his problems.
Yeah, let's take care of it.
I'd be glad to get back in touch with you. You have a blessed, wonderful day.
Hey, Gerald, this is Rick from Monster Bass. I see in the chat that you're having a little bit of frustrations with the company regarding some of your orders. I'd be happy to speak with you after Monster Bass Live today, look through your orders and see if we can't figure out what's going on with the shipments that we sent to you. So give me a call when you get a chance, anytime after 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks. Bye. All right. Sorry.
No, that's great. This is what it's about. Like we got. Did he give you any reference? Like, what's he mad about?
He says Monster Bass sucks. Monster Bass is a ripoff. Monster Bass ripped me off. I paid for 3 boxes. I never got them. Quit smacking whatever you're eating. Are you high on drugs, you dirtbag? You ripped me off $1,000. That was. There's Gerald. There's Gerald. Hold on.
All right, let's go.
Let him know. Yeah, let him know he's live.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Gerald, I just want to let you know you're live on Monster Bass Live. Is that okay?
Yeah, I know I'm live.
Okay.
Check it out.
Okay.
Well, I've complained to your customer service at least 20 times.
20?
If you can pull my information up, look and see how many times I've tried to contact your support and can't talk to nobody. And all y'all do is y'all gave me fake codes that don't work to get this discount.
All right. Well,
from the number, look, I bought stuff from y'all because of your advertisement.
Okay.
And,
thank you.
And y'all promised me $90 worth of free stuff right off the bat. I bought 3 platinum boxes.
Okay.
3 platinum boxes.
Yeah.
I've yet to receive the first one.
Okay. Well, Gerald, let me
And
Gerald.
And it says delivered.
All right, Gerald. Hold on a sec. Let me try and help you, okay? So, first things first, can I confirm your address? Is it Okay, so Gerald, that's not the address that you entered into the system.
I just changed the address because y'all keep saying it's delivered there, and it's not delivered there. We got hit by the hurricane. It's not even a building there no more.
Oh,
And
that
y'all
could
say y'all deliver it there.
Okay,
Listen,
so
leave my complaints. I put a new address in
Okay.
there. If you want to make it right, refund my money or send me what I paid for.
I'm happy to I will be happy to call you after the show, talk through this and see if I can't figure out the best way to make this happen, because if you're not receiving your orders, the last thing I want to do is send you more stuff and then you tell me that you don't receive it.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm a liar, right?
No. I'm not saying you're a liar. I'm saying, could I call you back after the show, because I want to make sure I get you some.
I'd be glad to have a conversation with you, sir.
All right. Thanks, Gerald. My name's Rick.
My name's Daryl Kruger. My daddy used to fish for Strike King Lure Company for years.
All right.
I know Charles Spence. I got a pretty good history in the bass field.
All right. Gerald, I'll tell you what. I want to hear all about this, but I'm live on a show.
Yeah.
All right. I'll call you after.
Yeah.
All right.
See?
Bye-bye. Wow.
We'll see.
All right,
You just
Gerald,
called-
I get it. He's fired up. We delivered boxes to a building that got destroyed in a hurricane or something like that. And I mean, I don't know. I'm doing my best, Gerald. I promise I'll call you afterwards.
His neighbor's over there sitting with 3 nice
Yeah.
boxes. He's
Totally.
out fishing right now, having the time of his life. So
Totally.
get that guy squared away. He'll be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I like it. He wants what he's ordered. He's entitled to that. That guy, he wasn't being unreasonable. Good for him. Get him taken care of.
Well, he did tell me I was doing drugs and that I was high on something.
Hey, he's watching you munch like a full pack of Zims or whatever you got inside that Altoid thing.
Altoids. I don't have Zins.
Okay.
I'm gonna get them for when I come back.
All right.
I'm gonna have to
Where
really
you head?
go.
Where are you going?
I am leaving for to do some research.
Oh, wow.
I'm leaving on Saturday, and I'm flying to Costa Rica. To do.
Are you doing a spiritual journey? You're gonna go-
Altoids.
I'm doing a spiritual journey that involves a lot of fishing. But enough about me. Enough about me. All right. So you were also scouting was a big thing for you growing up too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was a scouter until I went to scout camp. I mean, that was the thing, is like, it was the gatekeeper to get me to scout camp. But I went to scout camp, and then I found like some friends had brought some windsurfers, and I didn't know how to windsurf. I could just get on the board and I could ride it across the lake with the wind, and then I would just leave it and walk back. So I was kind of mischievous as a kid. But at scout camp is when I learned to fish from a canoe and troll actually from a canoe. And I would just go around the lake. And I think everyone else was probably doing merit badges. And all I was doing was trolling around and catching fish nonstop all day at scout camp in a canoe. So I was part of it. And so that was, my experience. And I was catching fish. I was cooking fish. I was eating fish. I was a little kid, and everyone's like, there's no fish out there. And I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? There's fish everywhere. It's a blast. So that's part of the seeds that I think that I look back at, and I'm like, oh, that was a pretty influential time in my life.
And now fast forward to today.
Okay.
And you're a grandpa.
I'm a grandpa. No, I'm a grandpa. I'm like a 20-year scoutmaster, 5 boys, 1 girl. 4 of the boys are Eagle Scouts. My son, that's 17, is still on. He just needs like 2 more merit badges, and he's going to do his Eagle project. So scouting was a huge part of our lives growing up, and I teaching all my kids how to fish, kind of whether they liked it or not. We had one of my sons that just stands out as, I think we made a mistake as parents, as we kind of thought we could teach our kids how to fly fish. That's a pretty difficult task, but they could all just standard fish, traditional fishing. That was pretty easy. But we'd go fly fishing. We got the Mammoth Lakes, and we were putting on triathlons and events. And so one of my sons, he would just swim in the water. And so he would like jump in, splash around, scare all the fish. That was just kind of his deal, because fly fishing, it's pretty tough. And so, they all now can fish on their own. They catch fish no matter where they're at. They send home pictures. It's kind of a cool thing, but that's a skill that definitely was passed along. They all dive. My oldest son, he dove once, got his abalone, and came out of the water. And he's like, all right, that's it. I thought I would get killed by a shark. I got my abalone. I'm never doing that again. And so we're always doing stuff as a family, and fishing was a part of it.
I kind of side with your son on that one. Like diving, I dove down once and got an abalone in Catalina, and then I was done. And the thing that messes me up is that there's no, or at least with the mask that I was wearing, there's no peripheral vision. So it's just like tunnel vision. You have to have your head in a swivel. And I always think that like a shark is behind me and going to tap me on the back and then just eat me.
It's probably behind you. And that's the fun, like the cool part when you're spearing fish. And I had this in Hawaii, like spearing a few fish, and then you put them on a stringer, like on your body, or you're holding them. And I had this one eel that kept chasing me. And so you have this like 6-7 foot eel that's just swimming along, wanting to eat what you have. And you just make a peace offering. You just feed the eel, one of your fish. But a shark, I don't know. If it's your time, it's your time. They're not going to tap you on the back. They're just going to come in and take an investigatory bite, and then you'll probably be all right.
That's how I met Rick.
He just came in a little investigatory bite. Just that's what
Yeah,
what's this guy doing? That's what we always tease, like, hey, what's this guy over here? What's he doing? What's he all about? And then you just come over, you take a bite, you're like, hey, I like that guy.
yeah, it's cool.
I think that's going back to the fly fishing. I think that's a mistake that the industry of fly fishing as a whole makes, because they tell you how hard it is instead of making it approachable and easy. Like, I don't know why they do that, because the more people that enter the sport, the obviously it's better for the business as a whole and the industry and revenue and all that. But they literally go out of their way to make it like difficult.
Yeah, it's a gatekeeper kind of thing. And I like, if you're a fly fisherman, angler, like all these things, I don't even know what pronouns we're supposed to use with angling, fishing, but if you go fly fishing, there's certain spots that are great. And I think there's some people that just don't want more people on those spots on the river. And that's kind of the reality, is like, there's so much pressure. There's so many people. I pulled up the spots where you go to fish, and it's like, where am I going to fish? The areas that are good. It's almost, I have this fun sticker about surfing. It says, surfing sucks, don't try it. And it's kind of this industry joke. Like, you don't want more people fighting for your waves. Why do you want more people fighting for your chosen spots on the river? And then fly fishing, I mean, you can fish all day long, but really it's like, okay, you're looking for the hatch, early morning, evening, you get the dry fly. And so there's just so few times that it's perfect. You kind of don't want other people. So I don't know if that's so much of like the industry. And then the reality is like making that perfect cast and having that fly drift down. Pretty tough. I mean, it's one of the sports that it is hard. So I've been fly fishing a fair amount now on lakes for bass, float and fly, and you're literally using a bobber. So you have this little hair jig that you got a hair jig in the box this month. And so you use these little marabou hair jigs. You're using like a 12-foot fly rod. You flip it out there and it's got a bobber. And when that bobber stands up, you got a fish on. And it's kind of an easy cheating way to fish. And it's super fun.
Huh.
And so that's kind of a whole unique thing that opened my eyes up of like, oh, wow, these smallmouth, they like these hair jigs. And then you start watching guys Major League Fishing, and they're looking at hair jigs and they're fishing like the Great Lakes. That's just kind of a standard that people talk about. Now, it's kind of a little secret for a long time, but the hair jig is a really great bait, especially wintertime. But you can use them all summer. You can swim them shallow. You can fish them deep. And I learned a fair amount of that from fly fishing.
And
crossover.
And when's the last time you went fly fishing?
Standard fly fishing, like in a river. Yeah. So like I'm fly fishing in a lake 4 months ago, in a river probably 2 months ago. I also fly fish in the pond, like across the street, summertime. Big, really like deer hair. They look like rats. And so if you think of a frog or a rat on the top, and so it's just like a popper, really fun to fly fish. I fly fish. I don't know. I just go over and fish for bluegill, panfish. It's a really easy way. You and I talked about a kid's box a long time ago, and like a woolly booger behind a casting bobber is a booger. So like having what looks like a leech or a small bait fish behind a casting bobber on a spinning setup is probably one of the easiest way to catch fish. And so if you're bad at fly fishing, just go where there's a bunch of bluegill. And you can cast and you can whip and you can snap it. And you just, as long as you're stripping it and moving it back, you're going to end up catching some fish. So fly fishing, if people would say, I think the industry makes the mistake, learn to fly fish in a freshwater pond where there's bass and bluegill, people would be hooked. But going out to a river and having to deal with the current, and it's kind of a nightmare. But once you do it, it's a lot of fun.
And how many grandkids do you have?
We have 3 and 1 more on the way.
How long have you been married?
I've been married since 1990. So if you go out, we got 34 years. Yeah, to a high school sweetheart.
But you've been together for how long?
Add probably like 3 years on top of that, like all through high school sweethearts.
And when did you know?
I mean, she was the catch of the county. Like I mean, she was the head cheerleader. I was a snowboard punk. She was gorgeous, and I was the long-haired kind of hippie. Like my hair was down past my shoulders. And
no way.
Yeah, her and her mom. Like
photos, please.
Yeah,
I could get you some photos. Like I
Next
have.
week.
I mean, I used to have really thick hair, and I would shave around the edges. So this the top was really long, and I'd wear a ponytail. But her and her mom, I guess, were sitting at church, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Chris is cute." And then Kelly's like, "Oh, he does drugs." And so my wife knew from the friends I was associated with, she had this idea that, all these snowboarder punks and skateboarders, but somehow I was able to convince her that I was a good person. And so we started dating, hit it off, fell madly in love with her, and then she's just been like the most supportive human in the world. And
Catch
I've had
county.
Catch the County. She literally was the head cheerleader, and I was the snowboard punky skateboard kid. And then we got married, and it's like I probably had like 5 or 6 lifetimes compared to most people.
So
Plumbing.
who won?
Who won what? Who
Yeah,
won what?
Did you stop doing drugs or did she start?
She,
Like which association was more powerful?
being married to me, she should have started doing drugs a long time ago. No, she would have been way better off, like drinking a little bit, smoking a little bit, probably would have helped her out. Like the stress of being married to me, like, I mean, I think her naturopath, healthy life is the reason she's been able to deal with being married to me, because I'm trouble, but bouncing around, golf pro, snowboarder. I mean,
you've had a lot of jobs.
She would hike up with our children. Like imagine like this baby papoose. My wife would hike up and watch me compete at snowboard competitions when we were first married. So, and then like I was a plumbing contractor. I owned a plumbing company, and I was like 12 years old at the time. I was one of the youngest contractors to petition the state to get my license. And then I went into securities and life insurance, kind of bouncing around these different ideas. And I was, I don't even.
That's a tough business.
Yeah, it was interesting. It's money driven because I knew I had a family and I wanted to make money. And then I was just like, I just didn't want to be the guy in like the grocery store, like, hey, you got beautiful kids. What are they going to do when you die? Like, I just didn't want to be the hard sell guy. And I think it was cool. Like what I learned about being self-sufficient in insurance and investments, I think is smart. And those are things like, man, why isn't that taught in high school? Like these are the stuff of like you learn as you get older. But then we transitioned. Then I transitioned into events. I was a golf pro for like 3 years, and then I was teaching a guy how to play golf that owned events, and that spiraled me into being an event director, became an announcer, and then like I said, 5 or 6 lives. We were teasing last night. Kelly's making fun of me because now my job, the requirement is I've been playing music while I'm doing event announcing for 20 years, but now I'm being called a DJ because I play music. And so this evolution of DJ. So like I have a new DJ mixing deck. Like I literally am learning how to mix sounds and blend them, which my app, my DJ2 app used to do that. But like DJ Chris is like this ironic, funny thing that's kind of an evolution of being an event announcer. But no, it's been crazy. Like we've traveled all around the world, used to go to Canada, Oregon, running races, triathlons, and paddleboard races. And I still do that. That's kind of my other real job, I'll say.
Does your wife work?
She keeping track of the kids right now is the full-time homeschool. Like we homeschool our kids. And so she's a homeschool mom. She homeschooled completely. Right now they're in a charter school. And then she also, she does all the books and everything for our businesses. We were first married, she taught violin. So like, she's this secret, people know her online from fishing, but Kelly's a concert level violinist, did group lessons her whole life, independent lessons, plays the piano, but just a phenomenal human that, she's done it all. Like she used to take our small children and go and clean houses, like whatever the job requirement was, she was there, does the trade show circuit when we set up a booth. So, and when it's necessary, like she'll fold socks, bag socks, like she'll do whatever. Like Kelly's not one to sit down and stop working. Now, if I could get her to do one thing, it'd be like to find a hobby to relax. But because fishing's kind of become that job, it's like, all right, what do we do next to have the true day off? Yeah.
She's going to have to go on the road and become a DJ.
I think I've shared with you, she talked about being a weather person. And so I want her to do like fishing reports. DJ, it would be so great because she could like do the thing where you take the thing off your ear and dance. And so Kelly, phenomenal dancer, DJ Kelly, if we could collaborate and I could be announcing and she could be playing the music, I think there's a little team DJ thing in the future. So
yeah. What advice would you, if you go back in time, what advice would you give to Your younger self.
Uh, I think I would go back and say, pick one thing. Oh, if I could go back and teach a money class, because that was something I haven't even, understanding financial obligations for a family, understanding capital versus debt, starting businesses with debt versus capital. I think there's a big discrepancy there. We live in a world that's it's capital, like it's capitalism. It's like building capital versus people that are investing in you that want to have a future with you and can get paid in the future rather than starting a business with debt and a debt requirement with your own money. And that's that whole thing is like, again, why is school not teaching these lessons of life and how to figure these things out? But then again, I wouldn't really want more information. I think life has been a challenge for certain reasons, and I think I've developed skills along the way that have kind of turned into like, okay, I'm 52. I'm pretty happy. I wish things were a little bit different, but not enough to go back and change it. And so the evolution, I'm super excited about today, and I really look forward to tomorrow. And I wouldn't want to change anything. Like having the
Hey,
children I
Epic
have.
Eric's in the chat. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's good.
Got excited.
No, it's like those things of like, I wish I could tell myself to maybe pick one job to focus on to be more serious. But if I wasn't a golf pro, I wouldn't have been an event producer. I wouldn't be announcing. I wouldn't have had a business that got closed from COVID to turn into making socks. It's just like, and then I wouldn't be doing a podcast with you. So it's like the evolution of all of it. I don't know. I look back at it. It's like, it's been a journey.
How's his scouting or fishing influenced the way that you face challenges in life?
I think scouting is kind of a cool thing to really think about how having access to things you wouldn't normally do is really important in scouting. And I think this whole education of people. Scouting, Lloyd Baden Powell started scouting from during an era where a lot of the dads were basically their lives were taken during the war. And so this guy comes out like, how do we raise this generation that don't have fathers? And we give them this opportunity. We're going to give them a reward system, which I think sometimes is nice. And then also you're going to participate in a lot of different things, kind of whether you like it or not, to earn the awards. But at the same time, you're going to get a lot of exposure to a lot of different things. I think that's really important. It's kind of weird that I maybe have done that for my own job as an adult. I haven't really shied away from that. But I think really I love school and I love learning. And I think that's what's really pushed me in fishing is you can never have the answer when you fish. You get to go out and figure out the puzzle. And so scouting is like that of figuring out the puzzle. Like, what do I like to do? What do I not like to do? Going into fishing, where do I want to fish? How do I want to catch the fish? Where are fish at? Where are fish not at? And so the puzzle, I was in a weird group called Advanced Studies, so Odyssey of the Mind when I was a kid. And so I was really good at puzzles. And so I got taken from my normal class and put in this kind of a weird group of kids. And we would learn things differently than the rest of the school for a couple periods a week. And it was all based on problem solving and puzzle work. And I think that has been huge in my fishing. And so I think I look at life like that, maybe sometimes a little too much, where I'm always looking at the next thing and maybe not finishing a job. Jack of all trades, master of none might be a thing you could call me, but I feel like I've done pretty good with a lot of the things that I set my mind to. And I don't know, I'm kind of stubborn that way. So it's kind of fun.
If your wife if your wife was here, Kelly, if you're watching, what are the 3 words that you would use to describe Chris? Put it in the chat. He can't see it because he's focused here. We want to see how well he knows you. So, Chris, what are the 3 words that she would use to describe you and why?
To describe me, or what she always wishes, like, if I think through the world of what I've learned, and I mean, it's just this whole political time of making this polar problems of people and left wing and right wing, and nobody's really down the middle. But then you have this like industrial complex with this war and making money. And sometimes I get a little pessimistic about the rest of the world and pharmaceuticals and poisoning our foods and all these different things. And I think she's just like, maybe be nicer or kinder or find the good in things is maybe something she might try to pass on, because I just sometimes I think I live in the realistic world where I'm like, nah, that's unfortunate. That's too bad. Um, there's just some things that I think that our country has suffered through that, despite being the greatest place in the world to be, having finances involved in politics and having profit involved in pharmaceuticals and your medicine, a lot of that gets really messed up. And I think that's where I sometimes can get a little disappointed in that. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Rafi, what's the one word?
The one word?
What's one word to describe Chris? Because I'm not sure which we're gonna assign one for his wife.
Yeah, meandering.
Yeah. No, I would say for sure I'm a meanderer. I like, yeah, because I like to stay busy. That's the one. That's a weird thing of if my attention's not being met and it's like this isn't maybe enough of a challenge, I sometimes can meander to make it more of a challenge. If that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
Let's speaking of one words, let's play a little game. I wrote something down for you two.
All right.
I'm gonna say a word. I'm gonna say a word or a phrase, and you guys get one word to describe to respond to what I just said. All right.
Yeah. One word.
Yeah. Major League Fishing. I mean, you can use 2 words if you have to, or 3. You know what I mean.
Okay.
Struggling.
And I'd like everyone at home to play. Oh, fishing with T-Rex said lame. Okay. The next one.
Well, you did get Rafi. Rafi, what is just your okay? Is that your answer?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. Megabass.
That's a good one.
Expensive.
Bougie.
Bougie. All right. Anglers' fees being paid.
Finally.
About time to make it a real sport. That's way more than one word.
Okay.
Can I just touch on that for a second? Wasn't
may.
it just like gambling? Like I had this conversation with the guy the other day, and I'm like, it was just gambling. You showed up with a pool of other guys betting. Mm-hmm. You put in your own $5,000 with the chance to probably not win. You funded the whole thing yourself. That's gambling. That's a poker game without playing poker. It's the craziest, dumbest, weirdest thing. But anyway,
I mean,
gambling is fine because the buy-in to gambling is like part of the excitement. But when you're positioning yourself as a sport, and when you're positioning yourself as we are attracting the greatest people in the sport, and then you require them to pay through the nose, you're actually like completely limiting some of the most amazing anglers from participating.
I don't know why it took so long. That's really an odd thing to think about, how it's kept it from being a real sport. And that's almost like this weird discredit of like, is there anything else like that?
I mean, I think the challenge though is they're paying, yet they've reduced the payouts. So you could finish, down the line, but still pretty decently and make no money. And so I think the challenge is how do they ensure that they can field a worthy set of anglers consistently week after week after week, if there's no money in it for the people down in the 40th spot.
Yeah, I think a golf like the PGA and the barrier of entry to be a pro of what it means to like get a PGA card. I think of like tennis tournaments, like you go and you show up to play tennis and not a lot of them are making money. Just like that's kind of tough. I mean, you think about like they have these, like you look at the Olympics and then there's like the World Cup of running and what they're doing, trying to do with that to make that a more legitimate sport to try to see how there's money. I think bass fishing gets lost in the cost to participate because you have to have a boat now with electronics that you're spending $200,000 on. The gas, the travel, there's it's just an interesting sport that I don't know if there's anything. It's like NASCAR, like you think about NASCAR and the requirements to have a car, and then you can kind of go down from NASCAR to like car racing. It requires a race boat basically to be an angler. I wish somebody would come back and just do what they used to do for the Bassmaster Classic. Just say, hey, here's the 40 boats. They're all outfitted. They're all the same. And these 40 guys are qualified to fish for the year on these 40 boats. And you can bring your own bait and we're going to go to these lakes and this is what you're going to fish. And that's, to me, that's professional fishing on a whole different level rather than whose boat manufacturer, who's trying to sell, whatever. I would love to see a tour that was just showcasing fishing skills more than the boats and the electronics that you buy. But that's just a pipe dream.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Because they're competing against each other with their boat package as well as their fishing. And that's a unique piece. It's like they're I don't know. It's hard. Who's the best angler? Well, who has some of the best equipment? Who's doing what? It gets really complicated really quick.
All right, let's go back to this. Where should I start? Gluten-free pasta.
I will have your side of the gluten. I'll take your gluten on the side.
Surprising.
Do you want? My wife just texted me. Funny, highly intelligent, and intense. That's what she just texted. That's how she describes me. 3 words.
All right.
You know what, Chris? Your wife just texted me with 3 words.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Handsome never came up. Like I just like sexy. Like what? That's fine. You know what? Those are 3 compliments that I'm gonna take and run with because she could have gone a whole other direction.
Okay. Well, I mean, she paid you a compliment. How about this one? Yoga pants.
Divine.
I mean, the one word that comes to mind has to be Kelly. So I don't. I mean, is that okay?
Sure. And last but not least, unbiased influencers.
Where?
Well, yeah, like that's so. Okay, here's what I was going to say. That's funny.
Okay.
Again, back to this whole meandering Chris's mind, like the gluten-free. I think having leaky gut. I have all these things that my mind goes. I think in too many directions. I think gluten can be terrible for people. Some of the process of growing stuff, spraying Roundup on our food before it's harvested, like what a nightmare. But then you're talking about influencers. So I'm going to compartmentalize my thoughts to just unbiased influencers.
Love them.
Where does that even come from? Like if you're having a job to do a task, and in response to that task you're performing, normally there's compensation.
Okay.
Aren't you then biased?
I mean, I guess if you buy your own stuff, then you aren't biased.
But if if you buy stuff and then you review it, and then you send somebody somewhere to purchase it, so you have links somewhere.
Yeah.
You're biased. I would love it if there was an influencer that just said, "Hey, this is what I do. I'm going to go." Like my daughter watches some of these things, like an unboxing, or they go to Disneyland. They just go to Disneyland. They're there. They're traveling around. They're eating food. They're going on rides. They're doing like an unbiased review. It's awesome. It's great. And then you watch that person develop after a year, and then they're like, "Oh, I was invited to Disneyland's premium party." I got free tickets. Well, now they're biased. I was I was invited to stay at this hotel, so then they're getting a free hotel, and they're not. I don't think as a human you can get a free hotel and go there and be like, this place sucks. So there was a book that I loved. So is Hawaii Revealed. They would move to each island and secretly live on the island and review everything. And they were unbiased, meaning they said they were fearful for their lives at times because they gave such honest reviews that business owners wanted to physically hurt them. I think that's an unbiased influencer, because to be a secret person, I think you'd have to almost be secret in the world of fishing, and I don't think you could be unbiased. But I like the idea, because I think that's where the corruption comes into, like being paid. But I also have no harm in being brand loyal and being on the payroll of somebody and being invested in helping build that brand. I think there's some nobility of being loyal and working with somebody. I think that's an important piece as well.
Okay, Rick,
Yes, sir.
that was more than one word. I just want to point.
Yeah,
that
we
out.
went. No, I already gave you the one word.
His
That was-
wife
yeah.
texted me. She also said wordy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Hey,
but
It's okay.
but in the word influencer, like
Ew.
being unbiased is impossible.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, how are you influencing people? Just to be neutral?
Yeah, that's an oxymoron of some sort of like
Yeah.
you're influencing people to not.
I'm an unbiased influencer, therefore I want you to do this. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I would say that you could influence them to not fish. If you're like, you want to be unbiased in fishing, you're like, everything sucks, don't go fishing. I think that's an easy way to be. Or if you're just one of those people like, this is awesome and everything is awesome, I think you can kind of be unbiased that way too.
okay, and then last but not least, the Guggen Squad.
You see,
Important.
like, I would say, I want to find a good word for this one.
Trailblazers.
Yeah, both of those are good.
Rich.
I think
Rich is
I
good.
mean,
Done,
they did okay.
done
Yeah.
is also good.
Our the audience is speaking. Trash, trash, gross,
Yes.
trash.
I would say, you know what the word is? They're influencers.
Mm-hmm.
That's my word.
Biased or unbiased?
I actually hope it's biased. I think that's this fun thing, is that's why Google works. It's a biased response. We want the best. So they should be, I think that's having opinions and being biased towards what you believe in. I like that. I also like the idea that you're not your ideas and you're not your beliefs, like having the ability to change and learn new things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the evolution of like having disagreements and discussing. So Guggen, I used to think I never watched him, and then now I'll fall into like I'll see a YouTube of John B going out and fishing in Florida, just kind of like urban fishing, and I'm like,
He still
this guy
fishes.
real. Yeah, it's like he really cares about the camera angles and letting go
Oh,
of
yeah,
fish,
yeah.
and like just like the artsy side of some of that. I'm like, I really appreciate that, the storytelling and going, and he hooks up with local anglers to try to highlight them a little bit, and then understanding the marketing and building a brand. Like they're kind of involved in that a little bit, but I think now it's kind of being pulled away. So I don't know. Crazy stuff.
Yeah. Rafi, what have we learned so far about Chris?
Nothing.
In one word? Oh God, who was it? I forget where it was, but said Chris was probably taught by Professor X or whatever from the X-Men. He constantly surprises me, constantly, and he's very wordy.
I am paid to talk. That is my job.
Yeah,
To sit on a microphone for 10 hours at a triathlon and make things up. And that is it's a skill that I've developed.
that is an amazing skill, by the way. Watching people do the same exact thing over and over and over again, and being able to continue to comment on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, when a guy runs by and he has no shirt on and he has what looks like a sweater, then you just call out like the guy in a sweater. And then when a beautiful man runs by with his muscles, I can bring attention to that in a nice way that I appreciate the most muscular man in the world that probably shouldn't be running in a running race. He should be a linebacker for the Green Bay Packers. So when you just see things and you just start talking, it's actually fun.
Okay, so I go running by. How are you bringing my attention to the crowd?
Oh,
Wow, I'd be like, look at this guy. He's known for fishing, monster bass owner. Rick is out here doing his first 5K ever. He's training because he's in a challenge with Rafi. He's getting ready to run because he wants to climb Kilimanjaro. Like, I could talk about you for an hour of you crossing the line.
Ooh.
So
that's
my
great.
job.
I would just say, there he goes.
Yeah, there he goes. No, I'd be like, oh, coming hot.
There goes that guy.
Yeah.
Hot off his trip from Costa Rica. He's been doing ayahuasca for 3 weeks straight. He's had, I mean, I could just make stuff up and it's fun, but that's
Zen training. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
He's high on a level 8 Lucy running across the finish line. Surprised he still has his pants on. Like, that's the stuff that just comes out of my mouth. And half the time I have no idea what I'm saying. And I'm up there kind of laughing and joking, and seems like people are fine with it. So it's a good time.
Lower lip comes into frame first.
Here today. Oh,
Yeah. What just happened?
that was our clip of the week.
All right. Well, speaking of the clip of the week, Rafi, why don't you set this up for us?
Yeah, so the last couple clips I think have been more along the lines of conflict, right? Like, do anglers really have to put up with all of this crap? And Rick, this one, you inspired me because I know that you have started fishing at first because you're like, you know what? I haven't gone fishing in a very long time. I own a fishing company. I own a fishing brand, and I really need to make more of an effort to do it. And I watched you carve out some time in your schedule, race there, race back. How was it? It was fine, but I'm like now behind on my work or whatever it is. And then I watched something like switch in you, where you kind of get that like, oh, I can't wait till the next time that I'm going out and going fishing. And so this clip, it just kind of reminded me of like that transition, and as far as like what's waiting for you and what's waiting for every angler.
All right, let's see it.
windy here today. Oh, yeah, it's not a worm bite. It's not a worm bite. Turns out.
Giant. Oh, giant.
It's a giant. So.
It's a giant. It's a giant. Baby. It's a giant. It's a giant.
That's intense. Yeah. He's excited.
To me, the magic is in his friend. Like once his friend turns around and sees what this dude is pulling in, and he starts freaking out. Like that's what makes a video so great to me.
Yeah, giant.
Yeah,
giant.
It's a giant.
Yeah, when your guide was on, we touched on that. There's a thing called getting jaded, and once you've caught fish, like you've lost that excitement. Like because you almost expect to have good results. When you get to take somebody out and they have that experience for the first time, that's some of the joy that I look to you having. That's why it's fun to be out with somebody like the first time they catch a 3-pounder, then a 4-pounder, then a 5-pounder, or they break off a 7-pounder right at the boat. They're like, oh, but it's just one of those things. Like you're always looking for the next thing. I think that's a quest. And sometimes it becomes teaching somebody and being there when they do it. I don't scream like that. I kind of wish that I had that emotional response to fishing like that, but I don't think I get that with anything.
Do you commentate on your own? You're like, oh, and Mr. Wish I Was Fishing is pulling in a big one.
I think part of it was growing up, being a skateboarder and trying to keep your cool. In surfing, there's a certain thing where like you ride a wave and you kick out, and like if you claim it, it was kind of like a nerd thing. Like, oh, the dude claimed his wave, and it's like having that emotion, that response. I think is a fun thing, but I was taught to not share that, to just go back and do your job again. Like, why act like that if you expect to catch a fish like that? No one should do that. But I don't know. It's kind of fun. My son is watching the Michael Jordan. I think it's. That guy. He's my guy. When he shot that last shot in that game to advance onto the finals, and he jumps up like he shot the shot at it's basically like a free throw, but the fadeaway jumper hits it, and then he does that iconic jump in the air and he pumps his fist. that to me is the ultimate claim in all of sports. When I think of somebody claiming what they, and he's so cool and so savvy, but he brought that emotion. He wasn't screaming, wasn't freaking out, but I think that's a proper claim. What those kids are doing, I think that's adorable, but that's just not in me. I don't have that. I think that's what I would suffer from doing YouTube videos, because I think people like that. And I think sometimes that's manufactured. When I see a guy talking about the Guggen squad and they do that over and over again, guys, it's like, how many fish have you caught? Like you kind of act like you've caught your first fish. So I think some of that can be manufactured.
Yeah, Rick, you brought that. We were just talking about that today when you were watching some of the fishing shows, right?
Yeah, it's like I watched the video and I was like, oh, I'm pretty mild mannered. I'm not, super excited. I'm happy to be there. I'm catching fish. It's great. And I was like, wow, you really have to play a part. And there's got to be some intention on setting this stage for YouTube. And so I went back and I started watching like some old Andrew Flair videos, some old Alex Rudd videos. And yeah, like they lose their minds when they catch fish. And they get all excited, and I realized I'm going to start doing that. So in the next video I send, I'm going to be catching 1 pounders. I'm going to be freaking out. Like I'm going to stuff an onion in my pocket, and I'm going to fall to my knees. I'm going to cry. I'm going to like, thank God. I'm going to get really excited for the 1 pounders. It's going to be the most memorable video ever.
And I think there's a market for that. And I've always thought like, that's just kind of a low entry. I mean, that's the thing that I share when we're talking about Guggens and that whole, I don't really watch videos for that. And I don't fish for that. My job of fishing is like, I expect to go out and catch good fish, but I also like being outside. I like getting vitamin D. I like the experience of figuring something out. And so it's like, it'd be like figuring out the last piece of a puzzle and like jumping up down. Like, no, you just put the last piece of the puzzle and you're like, yeah, crush that. Where's the next puzzle? And it's the same kind of thing of like, you catch a fish and you're like, all right, that was cool. Like probably another one down there bigger. Let's go catch that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's different things for different people, but I admire it. I can appreciate it as long as it feels authentic, but as soon as it feels forced and cheap, I think that's a discredit to all of us.
All right. So don't watch my next video then.
Yeah, I mean, can you share? Like, I saw a video of you. Can we dive into? There seems to be like you're really intense. You might have some anger issues that we might need to address.
I was trying to figure out how to get it on here, and for whatever reason, it's not letting me. Yeah, it's not letting me.
Yeah, it's like I mean, I've never broken a rod over my knee, and. Can you just share like I think you said you thought you had hooked into a good fish. You missed the fish.
Hold on.
Rick, your voice is beautiful, Rick.
Yeah, no, you sound great.
Here, I don't know if you guys can see this.
Oh yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. I was a little upset. I'm not going to lie. I thought I had hooked into a good one. And I did, and clearly I didn't have it hooked very well because I lost it. And I would love to tell you that that's the first one that I broke.
Oh, no. So this is like a thing? I put you into timeout. Like that's for me, and this is that thing is like if you're fishing to catch a fish, what you did is you made it really hard to cast again. Like you made it really difficult to present that bait again and correct your error. And it doesn't necessarily mean you set the hook wrong. That's the one thing I think is that jaded piece of like, okay, user error. Did I not sweep it? Did I not set the hook? Did I not reel down? Did I do it too quick? All of those things that I like the process in my mind, but sometimes the fish had already spit the thing out and it's nothing to do with it. I think it's like when I see somebody break the rod, it's like, man, he's intense. He's into this.
When I did it, Fred turned around and he goes, was that my rod? And I'm like, no, Fred, that was mine. And then he just started laughing.
I've seen people throw their rods in the water. I think it's funny. It's like breaking a rod, whatever. People like having where you can lose your mind in a sport like that, like actually be that connected to the activity. That's That's kind of, I think, a point where we all need to get at some points in like that. That's truly bliss, where you're not thinking about products, you're not thinking about costs, you're not thinking about margins. You broke a fishing rod out of a response to missing a fish. Like, you're in the moment. Like, that's a pretty cool escape to have that happen. Maybe anger issues, Rafi. I think you want to say something, but at the same time, like,
I'm saying he taught the fish a lesson. But I don't know if it's George Rodriguez or Jorge Rodriguez.
Jorge.
Had something, yeah, Jorge. So Jorge had something in the comments. He said that video of Rick breaking a rod honestly made me mad. Like, I understand it's an insurance promotion, but as a person who can't afford a good rod, it hurt me seeing a perfectly good rod being broken.
yeah.
Fair enough. Jorge, I appreciate your comment on that. I do understand that good rods are hard to come by, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret. That was I don't even have a set of lunker sticks. Those were the, what do you call them? Like the factory design, the prototype models that the factory designed. That one didn't even have cork on it. So just between you and me, it was not an actual lunker stick. It was one of the prototype models that I broke. So I hope that clarifies my intention.
So it does. I'm speaking on behalf of Jorge.
Jorge said, I will not be sharing my fishing rods with you when we fish together, but that's fine. Yeah. It's okay.
Well, you only get one take at an insurance promotion, so.
Yeah, no, I liked it. It's good.
What do you say we let's go look at some trophy room catches?
Let's do it. Hey, while you're digging through this, I saw an update that you're going to have the nation broken down by lake. We're going to start keeping track of people. We're going to see who's got the leaderboard at each lake. When's that going live?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Come on, that was your video. I was watching a video of you. Yeah, you were talking about send in and submit. You're going to start tracking by lake.
Yeah, you can do that right now. So if you've got a catch that you're proud of from this past weekend, yesterday, today, or it's your PB, you can head over to monsterbass.com/PB, upload a pic. It'll feed a leaderboard. We're going to get to see who's caught the biggest bass in the Monster Bass community. We're going to get to see who's caught the biggest bass in each state. We're going to get to see who's caught the biggest bass on every lake. And, phase 2 of this will be, some sort of prizes and some sort of tournament. I don't know, but some of that functionality is already built in and ready to go. So let's take a look at some of these catches. This is Dan. Dan, he kind of looks like Alton Jones Jr. 7 pounds, 0 ounces on a wacky rig out of New Jersey. All right, Kyle owns 6 pounds, 9 ounces. I guess he brought it home for a. Is this like a?
Yeah, it's like in his living room.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's
He printed his picture. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, this is going on canvas somewhere.
Yeah, he's gonna make a G clay print. Like it's going to the bedroom. That's nice. It looks like it's on his truck seat.
Nothing says. Anyway.
Nothing says welcome home like your best catch. I like
Eric Sibley, 1 pound, 9 ounces out of Michigan on the Bait Labs Papa Chomp. Good work, buddy. Good work. I mean, he's got something. What is that sticking out of the gills?
Nah, it's just the fin of the fish. He's just ready. He did a good job. He's got his little hook on his hat.
All right.
Guy's stoked.
Stephen Gordon, 3 pounds, 2 ounces on a jackhammer.
He's hiking with his fish.
Last but not least. Wait a minute. All right. Last but not least, Chris Felice in Iowa on a Thunder Cricket, 5.5 pounds.
Nice work.
I mean,
Yeah.
they look
Looks
pretty
like
good.
he looks like he has like the fingers of the Lord gracing him in that picture too.
He does. He's being blessed.
I like this guy.
Yeah.
All right. We're getting down towards the end of the show, and it's a big weekend. I don't know if you guys know this.
I'm excited. What do we got?
But Mike Tyson
Ooh.
is fighting,
It's pretending to fight.
pretending to fight this weekend.
He's a non-biased influencer. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
So my question to both of you and to everyone in the chat, who is winning this fight?
who do we want to win, or who do we think is going to win? Because
That's a good question, and you're right that we do need clarification.
I actually just turned on just before the show. I was finishing up a couple sock orders. I was watching. There's like a 3-show part of the countdown to the fight, and Mr. Logan Paul, like that guy's become. He's got a powerful right hook. He could take out Tyson. As the hopeful old guy, I want Tyson to destroy him. I want him to knock him into next week. That would be amazing. But I don't know if a guy that was he 58? I don't know if a guy that's 58 is fast enough to do it.
I don't know. I mean, if you watch those videos of Paul in the gym, he's a beast.
He's got. I mean, I get exposed to weird stuff. Like the guy that he does his breath work with was the opening breath work person at the Travis Barker run. That guy helps some of the top athletes in the world. And as he's sitting there and he set his intentions, and it's like all this weird stuff that all these professionals do is working. And he has the power to knock out Tyson for sure. So I just hope that Tyson doesn't get hurt. I hate the thought of a guy that's 58, but they're getting paid. They understand the risk. If Logan catches him with
I'm a lot more cynical than that.
Yeah, what do you got?
I'm with you. I want Tyson to light him up. But I think looking for Lunker said it the best. It's just the bookies and the promoters are really going to win the fight. And the rest of us are going to lose because it's a bunch of people who are out there throwing soft punches, and it's just like an exhibition. And they're going to end the fight talking about how fierce and ferocious the other person is, and it's just going to be stupid.
No. If they do fight, it will be awesome. The fact that they are so good at promotion, I think man, congrats to them. I do know that mixed martial arts, UFC has changed the focus away from boxing, and this is really bringing a lot of focus back to boxing. It's cool watching him train with the U.S. Olympic boxing team. Logan Paul goes in there and he's training with them. And the guy's like, man, I can't run through this kid. Like, this guy's got some skills. So I think boxing is a neat sport. I grew up. I mean, I don't know if you guys like Sugar Ray Leonard and all the different things that happened during our lifespan.
Marvin Hagler, and
that's the cool stuff of like talking about sports and what was influential in my life, and learning to talk smack and that garbage talk, and then it's transitioned into this whole payday of making millions of dollars. I think it's cool that they're doing it. I just hope that they actually do fight. I hope it's not like a bunch of body punches and half throws. I just hope they get in there and just get after it, and then we all win. That'll be cool.
Yeah, as long as it's not like Ric Flair's last match. That was awful.
No, we want to. I mean, is that weird that we're all like we just want to watch gladiators again like that? We've not really evolved a whole lot as humans, and that's just I'm okay with that. Like,
this is voluntary gladiators, not forced.
But it's
better.
It's for entertainment. And that's this whole weird thing. It's like you just want to see people beat each other up. Like that's crazy, but I don't know. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's not any crazier than watching see people make a lot of money catching fish.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, they're physically fighting. They're like, hey, kids, don't fight. Don't punch each other. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go. It's just the funny thing as a parent. You're like, always teach your kids, don't settle things with your fists or whatever. And then just a second, I'm going to go and do a pay-per-view so I can go watch these two people fight. At least it's on Netflix. And, we actually have all paid to watch this because if you're a subscriber.
That's why I tell my kids, don't settle anything with your fists until you understand your cut and you get it in writing.
Up front, prepaid up front. Yeah, smart kid.
Yeah.
That's well, you can go back and tell yourself that one thing is like figure out business before. Like that's good advice as a dad.
I like it. Good work, Dad.
Thanks.
Get prepaid.
All right, so guys, I'm not going to be here next week.
Where are you going to be?
I'm going to be in the jungle. We've
He's
already
gonna be-
established that.
He's tapping
Catching Arapaima, right?
yeah, Arapaima, but looking for his inner jaguar. Like he's gonna be on a spiritual journey.
I am doing a spiritual journey. I will drink ayahuasca on Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
It's great.
You do know you're gonna learn that we're all interconnected and our consciousness is one. And you're gonna come back and really be sad that you broke that fishing rod and you'll never do that again. You're gonna be very peaceful.
He's going to be floating. He's not going to need a chair for the next live.
Yeah.
I can't wait. This is exciting.
I'm floating right now, so. All right.
So what's the plan for next week? We just because while the cat's away, like the mice, we can do whatever we want, right, Rafi?
Yeah, you guys can do whatever you want. Why don't
We
you
can
guys
play.
talk?
We can go on strike. We can fish.
We're good. Let's do a strike. Have you ever done a strike? Have you ever gone out there with the sign and picketed?
No. What was it? Mitch Hedberg? He said, I hate signs, but I don't know how to let anyone know.
I like it. I'm all about. We were in San Francisco. I was actually doing a celebrity golf tournament of a month ago, and we went down, and the Hilton was all of the workers were outside of Hilton, banging on drums, pounding, making noise, and they were picketing that they wanted more money. And I was like, man, respect to that. You're bringing awareness to it. I don't know. I've never had anything. So maybe we find something to go on strike, Rafi, because this is never done that. We could just make signs and then sit here for an hour and a half and just be mad about something.
Yeah, you could do a silent protest.
Yeah, silent sit-in. We just get everything.
I like that.
And just sit there.
Just turn on and just be mad.
So good.
Or we could just have Kelly on the show and she could just tell us. She could ask us questions.
It would be, you know what? Maybe we find out if Kelly is ready. Maybe we try to schedule that. Just I'm looking at my phone to see if I get a text. Maybe Weather Lady Kelly can give us a fishing report now that it's gotten cold, and she could talk about taking a heater out on the boat, but she can give us some insight of the story of Kelly.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. Logistically, Rick, we got to figure out when you're going to teach me how to do all the things that you do now in order to get us live.
Producer.
It's not very hard.
I was kind of hoping Rick could do this from Costa Rica as he's sitting there eating his acai bowl and he's having smoke billow out of his little hut when he's hanging out with a shaman and he's on his trip, and we could all find out where the aliens are coming from, if they're outer space or interdimensional, because I think you're going to learn some stuff and I want to know.
Well, I'll be happy to share with everyone when I return in a few weeks.
Okay, I got a text. Kelly said she'll do the show next week.
All right.
Best show ever.
Well, now you just got to get fixed to be here to make sure you're all set up.
All right.
Yeah,
Kelly's
that's
in.
true.
And, well, we won't highlight all the concerns at this moment.
That's right. Yeah, it could be a crashing ship, Kelly, but Kelly's in. All right, it'll be fun.
Rick, could you answer a question? Brian Rand wants to know the status of pre-orders on Monster Bass, like the Vaults 3700. Like, when are those products going to start shipping?
The Vaults, I would assume he would have them before Christmas.
Okay.
What other products does he have a question about?
I don't know. He wrote Vaults, etc.
The Debo's, the Little Banger, that is a collaboration with Debo, arrived today. The Monster Box 36s, 37s, and 3700 Deeps arrived. The Vaults have not. The Hammer, which is a single Colorado finesse spinnerbait, arrived. What else? The prop spy. We got the prop spy from Bucket Mouth. I think those arrived. What else is on pre-order?
True spy bait, like a double blade. It's like a sinking winter time. That's a goal of mine this year. I want to perfect the spy bait.
Oh, and then the BFS rods. The BFS rods, I don't have a ship date yet because we made one more change to it. This is like the 9th change we've made to this. And I don't have an answer on that. So hopefully that answers Brian's questions. And Brian, if you could comment in the chat, did you get your new slides? You know, the Mountain Dew ones? Because I want to make sure you
Oh, yeah.
And Brian's purchased some fish socks. I got to tell Brian thank you, but I'd love to see the fish socks in the slides. I think that's a good look. And then I think that, Rick, that was what you're missing, the comfy foot hugging benefits of the fish socks. If you would not have broken the rod had you been in the fish socks. That's all.
Probably
I'm saying.
not. Probably not.
Yeah.
Someone commented that I should have painted all my toes, and then I would have probably not broken the rod.
You did. Did you notice what Coley said? I think her comment was good. The fish saw your shoes and wanted no part of that. That's pretty clever.
I did. All right, guys. Today's golden ticket. If you've got today's golden ticket number, email me at marketing@monsterbass.com. Take a picture of the golden ticket number and yourself. Send it to us. Make sure we get your address. Make sure we get your phone number. I really want to give some stuff out because I'm making more room in the garage than ever before. It's very, very exciting. And if I don't get stuff out there and move my car in, my girlfriend will find a way to fill the garage with stuff that's probably sitting in like her storage unit. I mean, she's got a storage unit that she pays. You know what I just found out, you guys? Oh my God. My girlfriend has a storage unit that she pays $400 a month to store crap that she probably doesn't even want. And I'm like, the moment she told me this, I was like, this isn't yours, Rick. You're not paying the bill. Just breathe. Well, and then I said, where are you going to put that stuff? She goes, oh, I was going to bring it here. I was like, no. Oh, but the golden ticket, and then we'll come back to that, is.
Yeah, I want to come back to that.
10478. 10478 is tonight's golden ticket number. Email me at marketing@monsterbass.com. Congratulations, you're going to help put my car in the garage. We're not putting junk in there.
You are. You can $350. I mean, we got a lot of unpacking to figure out. So you could rent her the garage for like $350. Be saving her money.
No. I want a happy Rick. $350 to have a cluttered garage is not going to lend you a happy Rick.
Yeah.
In fact, my question isn't, I didn't think that you were going to get upset about the $400 a month to store whatever it is that she's storing there. It's why is she also already using your garage as storage?
Because she emptied some stuff out of the car. There's not much there. And slowly but surely, trash comes once a week. Trash goes once a week. So,
do you have any idea what's in? I'm fascinated by storage containers. Like, what has she got? Is she collecting things? Is it just stuff? Like, does she have cool things, like valuable?
No, when she got a couple Banksies. When she moved out of, actually, true story. Scott, there were Rafi, there were 3 in Jim's house.
Really?
3. Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah, crazy. So she lived in a house previously on the west side down by the beach. And when a previous relationship ended, she moved all her stuff, like furniture and stuff, into storage. And I was just like, well, is there anything here that I might want? And I'm happy to take it. And she's like, yeah, but that was from another relationship. I'm like, I don't care. What's the coffee table going to tell me? That, like, they don't like me? I'll take a coffee table. I don't care.
Yeah, why not? It's fine.
If as long as it's good, I mean.
Yeah, why not?
So.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, I have a garage. I have all the children, all the stuff in the garage. Christmas decorations are up already at our house. You know, we talked about that.
No,
Crushed it.
no.
Oh yeah, even did the village. Even
How do
the
we get a
Dickens
tour?
Village.
Do we get a tour?
You know what? I'll film it and I'll put it
Not
online.
next week.
Like,
Yeah, that
No,
could
I
be
mean,
the video clip of the week.
video quickly. So I'll go around the house, we'll video it, and I'll show you that. I did Dickens Village, the tree. We got to finish the tree decorations, but the rest of it's up. Kelly crushes the holidays for the kids. But in our garage, I have 1,200 Santa suits, and I kind of want to bring them to your house because we had the Sacramento Santa run for like 8 years. But we could do a giveaway we got 1,200 Santa suits. So like, we got to figure this out. Like to do a fishing tournament where everyone gets a Santa suit. Maybe we'll brainstorm.
Or we're one lucky winner.
Yeah.
Or so the one golden ticket winner is going to have
Yeah.
1,200 Santa suits and then a bunch of Rick's girlfriend stuff delivered. And yeah,
I would be willing to go fishing the next time in a Santa suit the entire time.
oh yeah, I'll send you one. I got you covered.
Amazing.
Is that
Yeah.
your PFC on the inside or the outside? Safety first, right?
Yeah.
That's no, let's get you a Santa suit because I think the fish would really appreciate the effort and the jolliness. Like fish like that stuff. Be good.
Oh, I'm just getting a text.
Me too. Same people.
Oh, all right. Anyways, all right, guys. We had a great show. I'll be honest, I do miss the phone calls. I kind of wish we could have more phone calls because I'd love to like randomly take some more customer service calls. That was good. Now I've got myself into something, and it looks like my evening is going to be filled with. What was his name? Oh, for goodness sakes! Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I think your phone worked really good just by playing it on speaker. So as long as we give out your number at the beginning of every show, I think we can take phone calls.
I don't know that I want every Monster Bass customer to have my phone number.
Oh, that's good.
Man.
Maybe you get a flip phone, like the secret phone, and they could just instead of tying it in, it's just the bat phone, and you just pop it open.
So
and you just
dope,
answer
an
calls.
old school Motorola flip phone.
Yeah. Get a flip phone and just put it on speaker. I think that worked out fine. We don't have to worry about the delay. It was live. It was better.
I love it.
Cool.
I love it. All right, guys, listen. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you in 2. And I hope next week's show is a banger. And for everyone at home, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks.
All right. Sounds good.